back, and we're going to continue our trek through the Constitution and specifically the questions that I have sent to you all about the Constitution. So we are on the legislative branch, Article 1, Question F. And the question is there a limit to the number of terms a U.S. legislator can have? And the answer is no. There's no term limits. So a member of the House of Representatives or the member of the Senate can be elected and re-elected as often as the voters in the district want them there. Okay, I think the record is 26 or 28 times a member of Congress, member of the House, was re-elected. That's a pretty amazing thing. Just popular back home, takes care of the people respond by re-electing him. That's the way it goes. So there's no term limits. And this is one of those things that people, both Republicans and Democrats, complain about. And they say, we should have term limits. And we shouldn't have these people in these jobs staying there forever and ever. But in the end, the reality is that the voters want them there. The voters want them there. And in a democracy, isn't that what you want? Okay. Who is the leader of both houses of the U.S. legislature? We've talked about this through the semester. In the House of Representatives, the leader is the Speaker of the House, and that is currently Nancy Pelosi, a Democrat from California. She represents San Francisco. The leader of the U.S. Senate is the majority leader, the leader of the Republican Party, since they're the majority, and that is Mitch McConnell, a senator from Kentucky. So, Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell. They're the two most important people, Nancy Pelosi in the House, Mitch McConnell in the Senate. Okay, the next question. This is question H. How does one get to be a U.S. legislator? Pretty simple. You get elected, okay? You have to run and you get elected. It used to be that to be a senator, you had to be appointed by your state legislator. So here in Texas, in the old days, you had to be appointed by the Texas House of Representatives and Texas Senate. Okay, the ones who meet in Austin. But we have amended the Constitution. That appointment by the state legislature was in the original Constitution, but we've amended the Constitution, the 17th Amendment, to allow for the direct election of senators. So they're elected by the people. Members of the House of Representatives, their job is to represent the people. They've always been elected by the people. This is question I. Question I under Article 1, the legislative branch. How often should the legislature meet? And the Constitution is very specific. You have to meet at least once a year. Okay? And when that once a year is, it turns out it's the beginning of the year after an election, like we're in 2020. So when the election in November, the first time that the new legislature that was elected in 2020 meets is in early January 2021. Okay, so you have to meet at least once a year. How long does that meeting have to go? As long as the members want it. It can go for one day or it can go for 12 months. Okay, last question on this one. How much does a U.S. legislator get paid? Are you ready for this? $174,000 a year. 174,000. That is the pay of a legislator, a member of the House or a member of the Senate that serves in Washington, D.C. They get paid $174,000 a year. Now you're going, that's not bad money. And you're right, that's really good money. I think they work awful hard for it. I have no problem with them getting this much because They do work hard. Remember, they have to have a home in their home district as well as they live in Washington, D.C. too. And Washington, D.C. is not a cheap place to live. It's a very expensive place. So they do have a good justification for the money. Now, members of Congress have been always pushing to get a pay raise. And so on a regular basis, they introduce legislation to raise their pay. In fact, it just happened the end of last year. But members of Congress were too embarrassed to vote for that pay raise, and so as a consequence, it didn't happen. The concern is that as pay across the country gradually climbs higher and higher, some of these people who are elected to Congress might find that the pay in Congress is so low, they don't want the job, and we might be missing out on some good people. In other words, you can make more money as a doctor, you can make more money as a lawyer than you can as a member of Congress in some cases. So they are pushing to raise the pay, saying you raise the pay, you'll attract more people, more qualified people for the job. I think if you're interested in power, you want to be in Congress. And if you're interested in power, the pay will be enough to take care of your needs, so you will continue to seek that job. There's no shortage of people who want to run for Congress, let me tell you. There is no shortage. All right, so the last question there in this first block of questions for Article 1 is, how much does a legislator get paid? $174,000. $174,000. Final note on this, you need to know that the leadership gets paid more. So the Speaker of the House gets about $200,000. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell in the Senate gets about $200,000. So they get a little bit more than everybody else because they're the leaders. So if you rise into the leadership ranks, you do get a pay raise. Okay, so with that, that concludes the first block of questions about Article 1, the legislative branch. In our next one, we're going to take up the second block of questions about Article 1.